Hi, I'm Karen Rice and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be painting a fun, atmospheric, abstract watercolour painting of Mont Saint-Michel, a rocky tidal island in Normandy, France, which I visited a few years ago, and I did a number of sketches and I was very inspired by this amazing reference photograph. I just love the sort of colours and it inspired me to use a limited palette, my spritzer bottle and my plastic card. This painting is going to be very loose. It's going to have lots of hopefully happy accidents, and it's most important, it's going to be great fun. So shall we get started? These are the materials I will be using in this tutorial, and a full list of these can be found in the description below, along with colour alternatives. Many of you have been asking me about drawing, and I thought I'd discuss a little bit about the drawing here. One of the first things for watercolour especially, you want to use a HB or a 2B pencil, nothing too soft because it can get a bit smudgy. Try to keep really simple pale outlines so that sometimes it's quite tricky to rub off pencil afterwards. So if you don't want it to show, keep them quite pale. As you can see here, I've just got two soft diagonal lines going up to the horizon there, and the shape of Mont Saint-Michel is almost like a triangle with little lumpy bits at the side. So just keep it really simple, and my horizon line is just below the halfway line. For those of you that are interested in drawing templates and longer tutorials with lots more voiceover, with in-depth discussion about colour mixing, but also the experience that I have from the years I've been teaching and what I've learned from my own students, why not think about joining my Patreon membership? Just click the link in the top right hand corner and it will give you more details. So back to the drawing. I'm just finishing off there with the little church at the top, and I'm using a large brush to wet my smooth hot press watercolour paper, but you could use cold press. Because I'm using the plastic card to scrape with, sometimes rough can be a little bit too textured, but my advice is use whatever you have and have fun with it. I'm dropping in some Naples yellow wet into wet with my size 6 brush, and it's quite watered down, and I'm just letting the paint sort of run, just letting things happen, just enjoying it. And I'm just popping a little bit there on the Mont Saint-Michel itself and just sort of painting it here and there. I've just made the paint slightly creamier there as well. It's kind of like I'm painting my light areas, and this is kind of my underpainting. In watercolour painting we work light to dark. That's some phthalo blue there. I've just watered it down slightly. I'm just dropping it into the sky area. Just be careful not to get it too near the Naples yellow, because sometimes it can end up looking a bit green. I've swapped there to my size 14 brush, and I'm just having fun painting. The painting is on the flat here. I felt if I tilted it, it would just all run down because it's so wet. And as you can see there, it is running down towards the horizon. I've also made sure I've left some areas for the clouds, so I've not painted those areas. So the edges are slightly damp, but you're getting some nice edges. But you can also lift out clouds with tissue as well. I'm dropping in the indigo now with my size 6 brush. It's quite creamy, this paint. It's almost damp into wet. I'm looking for happy accents here. I'm just sort of trying to kind of look at the photograph, but I want to see what the watercolour can do. You know, it's not painting by numbers, this, by any means. This is just painting by instincts almost, and just seeing what the watercolour does. What I would say is, if you're a little bit worried about it, less is more here. So even though I'm putting paint on, I'm tilting, I'm sort of trying to be as disciplined as I can. Otherwise, it's just going to end up with a dark indigo painting. Gosh, that sky's looking quite interesting. Just to say, I have actually got some framing tape, just like masking tape really, just around the edge. I use framing tape because I find it's a bit sort of more gentle on the watercolour paper. But I like to have a nice white edge afterwards. But I'm using my plastic card now, dipping it into creamy paint onto a wet surface, and look at that, what's happening. It's just running. This is the indigo, and it's just creating all these sort of magical effects. And I find using hot press paper especially, the paint really moves, and that's why I like to use it. But also it kind of behaves better with the card, but it's just my personal experience. But I definitely encourage you to have a go at this. It's quite inspiring, just kind of letting the paint do the painting, as it were. I'm just sort of guiding it with my plastic card. And you could use a palette knife for this as well. But I could have left it here. Look on the right hand side. There are some trees there. I didn't really see it until after I watched the film back, and I wished I'd left it. And Mont Saint Michel could have become another painting. But hey ho, but it's quite effective just now. So you don't have to do very much and you could actually finish the painting. I love using a spritzer bottle just to soften things. And I'm just spraying off some of the paint here, tilting it to the right hand side. And I'm lifting off with my kitchen towel just to get a little bit more light in those clouds. I thought it was a good time to dry my painting off. So this now is wet on dry, and I'm painting with my size 14 brush, the Naples yellow, really sort of just putting a thin glaze on and then putting a little bit of the indigo on top, wet in wet. I'm using the indigo with a touch of the phthalo blue mixed together. And I'm painting this wet on dry on the dark sort of areas in the foreground. And I'm trying to keep some of the light. As you can see there, I left the light underpainting in that little thin triangle. So at this stage of the painting, you are sort of painting darker tonal values, but do try and save those lighter areas as well. I'm just painting the Mont Saint Michel now. I'm using a bit of the Naples yellow with my size 6 brush, wet on dry. I just want to get this as a kind of an underpainting to begin with. So I'm just blocking in this shape. I kind of lost the bottom of it a bit, so I'm sort of pushing it up a bit. You can always sort of work things around watercolours if you go a little bit wrong. There's little ways around it. I'm just using the card now just to get sort of a central sort of mark so I can put the church in on top there. So I've got a straight line. And I'm just using my size 2 brush now to put some really creamy indigo on there, just to get the sort of markings on the mount there. Just, you know, take your time with this. Remember, it's kind of like a triangle and you've got these little bits on the outside edge, and I'm just varying the tonal values. A good tip for you for drawing as well is if you have trouble drawing, and I sort of had trouble with the spire here of the church, turn it upside down and you can sort of access it better almost. I felt it was easier like this. So it's a good little tip there for you. Just even these little things, that spire was so important. I'm just spraying the right hand side here. I thought it was a bit hard looking. So again, there are ways around watercolour you can sort of change things. And I'm just finessing little bits of details here and there. I thought I'd sprinkle a little bit of salt there just on the right hand side, just to create a bit of texture and a bit of balance. If you look closely at the photograph, there's some little lights on. That's what really attracted me to this photograph. So I'm actually applying it with my size 2 brush with neat Naples yellow, and it finished off the painting really nicely. And here it is. I've removed the framing tape and I'm really pleased with this painting. I hope it inspires you to have a go at maybe just using a limited palette and painting this scene with a simple outline drawing using the spritzer bottle and the plastic card. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to watch more tutorials like this, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get updates of my latest videos. And if you'd like access to drawing templates, longer videos with lots more voiceovers, then why not think about the Patreon membership? It's a monthly membership and you can cancel at any time. Thanks again for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.